Hello and welcome to 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and coming to talk about the Kansas State Wildcats 2021 college football team is a man who has been doing this for so long, you would think it has only been a year, but it has only been a couple of years. Um, but the way that we cover these teams and the in-depth coverage we get, you cannot do wrong without going with a college preview with Logan Landers. How's it going, brother?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremiah? Yeah, man, we've knocked out, it feels like, basically every college team at this point. We've covered a lot of football from seemingly every single conference. So talking about the Kansas State Wildcats today, we'll see how they can do this upcoming year, man. But yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
Absolutely. And for everybody that's watching, especially our Kansas State Wildcats community, we just want to shout y'all out and say thank y'all so much for all the support you've been showing to 100 Yards of Football. And this preview is for y'all. And I know you're excited to get back in the seats, to have a great season. And that's why we have Logan Landers here to break it down. So, Mr. Landers, tell us, what does the Kansas State Wildcats community have to look forward to this season? And what kind of things should they do to become one of those teams that comes out of 2021 into 22 with a big, name for themselves and a lot to look forward to?
Yeah, so for a team with, last year with COVID, everything going on, this team was actually able to play a good majority of their games. They finished with a 4-6 record, unfortunately, but they're facing some tough teams. They faced Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and some other great teams, well, I see Iowa State and Texas. So you faced a lot of really good teams. So hopefully, coming off of this, coming into 2021, you're not going to play in that all Pac-12 schedule anymore. You get to kind of venture out and play some different teams. That's what this fan base is hoping for, that they can come into this year, they can get their guys ready, and we'll see what they can do this upcoming year. But I'm interested to see how Chris Kleiman, the head coach, is going to do this upcoming season. Because, really, Jeremiah, whenever you look at how he's been at Kansas State, you can kind of be broken down into two different sections. The first 18 games with him at the Wildcats head coach position, they're fine. They got 12 wins out of the 18, a bowl appearance, and he also got a contract extension out of it. So not too shabby at all. However, though, like I mentioned in 2020, the last 5 games, straight losses, and they were not pretty by any means necessary. They lost 37-10, 45-0, and the one that's the big one is to Texas, man, 69-31. So not the best end to an already pretty bad 2020 for a lot of people. So you're hoping that you can wipe that clean. You can come in 2021 fresh, and that you can just start new, and hopefully this year is going to be a little bit better if you are a Wildcats fan. And it's always good to hear that your guy, Skylar Thompson, someone that I know Wildcats fans are very familiar with, who's been there for seemingly his whole career, man. He's going into his 6th season now, his super senior year. Last year with COVID, they allowed that seniors could come back an additional season. And Skylar is coming off of an injury, unfortunately. He did have a season-ending injury with his throwing shoulder in the 3rd game against Texas Tech. So not the best news, but he's able to come back, though. And this guy's done a lot. He started in 30 games in his career at Kansas State, loves the program, loves the fans, is very familiar with the head coach. And he's only one of 2 quarterbacks in school history, Jeremiah, to throw for over 5,000 yards and run for over 1,000 yards on the ground as well. So this guy is definitely a Kansas State thoroughbred through and through. The fans love him, and he's come back for one more year to kind of see how far they can push the envelope and see if they can get to a potential championship game. We'll have to see. But he can't do it alone. He's also got Deuce Vaughn coming back at the running back position, who had a very good freshman year all in all. He ran for over 1,000 yards, so very good season. All conference honors as well. So you're getting him back. So both of those guys should be a good 1-2 punch in your backfield. And you're getting a good bit of your offensive line back, led by senior center Noah Johnson. So you're having a team who's got these 2 guys, a very good upcoming star with Vaughn, and then you have the veteran leader in Thompson, who are going to be manning your backfield, helping out your offense, and we'll see what they can do. Now, you do have some guys on the receiving core as well. You have Sebastian Taylor, who led the group with about 293 receiving yards last year. So not the biggest, but he did miss a little bit of spring practice as well, coming back from an injury. So hopefully he can come into this year fresh and off of whatever injuries that might have been nagging him. So hopefully that's just a little bit of a minor setback. But you're going to have to rely, I think, on Malik Knowles as your top receiving threat, I think. Because, man, this guy is electric, speedy, fast, you name it. He can do whatever you want at the wide receiving position. Also, you have guys like Phil Brooks and Keenan Garber as well. So they're hoping that they can have all four of those guys step up, have some good receiving years, and we'll see what they can do. Also, they're getting a good transfer. And Daniel Imator Hebe, trying to say that right early in the morning. It's a little bit difficult, but we're getting it there. So hopefully he can have a good season, transfer over from Illinois. So we'll see what he can do. A very good tight end. So that's another great piece you're adding to that offense. And you're having Briley Moore, who's also a bright spot too. He caught 22 passes for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns. So not too shabby as well. So you're getting a receiving core with, a few guys who are standing out above the rest, but you're also getting some good backup pieces as well. Some guys that, when the star receivers are a little bit tired, you can bring them in and they can do exactly what you need them to do. They're productive. So overall, the offense is looking pretty solid, I think. So I like the quarterback, running back combo. The wide receivers, we're going to see how many yards they can rack up this year. But overall, though, it's looking pretty good. Let's move over to the defense, though. Let's move to the defense. And, man, they lost a few people. I mean, it's going to look a little bit different, man. You lost Wyatt Hubert up front. Elijah Sullivan, Justin Hughes in the middle, and A.J. Parker are now on the perimeter. So we'll see what they can do. Hubert is a two-time big All-12 selection. He's going to be difficult to miss, man. It sucks that you had to lose him, but you got to replace after he had 8.5 sacks last year. So it's going to be hard to replace that production, I think. But it's all right, though. I think that you can have a few guys who can come into this year who can really help out. And I think that a good transfer that they have coming over is Julius Brents. He's going to play cornerback this year for the Wildcats. And he had a pretty solid season for his career at Iowa. Now he's coming over to Kansas State, hoping that he can get a little bit more playing time. But he's got a good size. He's physical. And he should be probably, I think, one of the best corners on this team. He could definitely be that corner 1 or corner 2 by any means necessary, I think. You also have to get Russ Yeast as well, another great transfer, this one from Louisville. So while they might not have the best talent in the pipeline from recruiting, they are doing a very good job, Jeremiah, at getting these transfers coming over from previous schools who might not have had the best playing time, who might not have enjoyed, certain coaches, certain players, and now they're coming over to Kansas State trying to start fresh and trying to get better in their career at this program for the Wildcats. So I think with those guys, as well as you also got Eric Munoz, and then you have Timmy Horn as well, they're all going to be very good. They're hyped to get the season started with a new team. So I think they're going to be fine. But the big key, I think, for me is Jerron McPherson, who's going to be back at the safety position, and also Bronson Massey, who's going to be great at the defensive end. So you got those two guys who've been doing some good work for this program and who are going to be having a good bit of work this year. I'm ready to see what they're going to do, man. Also, you have a few question marks, I think, at the linebacking core. Daniel Green and Cody Fletcher, they played, just out of necessity sometimes, it feels like, last year. But they've never been starters. So can they kind of step up and make that next leap forward? We're going to have to see. Because some guys, they can shine in the spotlight, and the others, they can crumble. So we'll see what those two gentlemen can do this upcoming year. But overall, just my final thoughts on this team, I think they're going to be fine. I'm not expecting them to kind of beat everybody by 20 points or anything. Mm-hmm. But I also expect them to not have another 4-6 record this upcoming year. I mean, they have a decent schedule, nothing too out of the ordinary. But I think that overall, this team, they should be fine. I expect a winning record. I don't expect them to get to facing for the Pac-12 championship or anything crazy like that. But I do think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to have a good season. And we'll see what happens next year because, they're going to have a few guys who are going to be leaving either with graduation or going to the potential NFL draft. So we'll see what next year entails as well. But for this year, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll get a winning record. And I think if you're a Kansas State fan, you'll take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that they will take anything they can right now to get back in the saddle and go for that, go for at least that even season, if not coming out with a winning season this year. And, all of our Kansas State Wildcats fans, Tell us, what are you most excited about this year for the team? Are you excited just to be back in the stands? Is there a certain game that you're really excited about? Are you going to travel and go see some of the away games? Tell us in the comments, and also tell us what players and what coaches that you gravitate towards, and what do you think that they'll do this year? And if you're watching us on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, I just want to say thank you. You guys watching our live streams, watching them on replay, sharing them over into Facebook groups, and just telling your friends and family about 100 yards of football has helped us to grow by tenfold, hundredfold, a millionfold in the last year. Just to be honest, we have grown at an exponential rate that has been even surprising to our team. And so we're so thankful to that, to every one of you. And if you're listening to us on our podcast, yeah, that's an even greater way to help us, because that's where we're growing even our fastest. And if you're not, jump over to anywhere you listen to podcasts and look at 100 Yards of Football. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on anywhere that you listen to podcasts. You can even use your Google Home devices and ask it to play 100 Yards of Football, and it'll start playing the episodes just like the ones here for you. And we put out a new podcast pretty much every day, so you can listen to us on your morning drive. You can listen to us while you're at work if you're back in the office. And you listen to us on your way home with all kinds of different episodes. One other thing I want to remind you is that we have these legends interviews, and we have these historic team breakdowns that are with Bobby Butler, the #1 draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons, first round. He was number 23 overall in the 1981 draft, had a 12-year career in the NFL. And then our original host, the guy who started it all, Vincent Mr. Football Turner, who puts those history specials together. If you go back and listen through our podcast, there are some interviews with some amazing players, legends in the game. There are interviews with current NFL players, the coaches, the staff, and Mr. Football himself will break down the classic scores and the classic teams from the Chicago Bears back to the college teams of your old. And that's just really entertaining. As weird as it sounds, even because we produce these shows, I go back and listen to some of those classic episodes because I just learn so much. And sometimes I have to remind myself of just how amazing the game of football is, how amazing the fandom is, and how amazing it is that we get this opportunity to bring this information to you every week. So for our entire team here, I am Jeremiah Long, the producer, and you've been listening to Logan Landers, our host, give a breakdown of the Kansas State Wildcats college football team. And thank you so much for watching. We'll be right back with a live video.